Some Cardinal fans are questioning the move, but I think adding BYU transfer Aly Khalifa makes a ton of sense for Pat Kelsey and the Louisville Cardinals. I'll explain why on today's episode of the Locked On Louisville podcast. Stay tuned.
You are Locked On Louisville, your daily podcast on the Louisville Cardinals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Happy Thursday. Welcome into today's episode of the Locked On Louisville podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Pence. Today's episode brought to you by Monopoly Go. I'll admit it, I have a competitive side, and it is a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. Join your friends and download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. And as always, I want to personally thank you all for making us your first listen of the day. Just a reminder, the Locked On Louisville podcast, free on all streaming services, 5 days a week, your team every day. The men's basketball program picked up another commitment out of the transfer portal, this time from BYU big man Aly Khalifa. Some Cardinal fans have been questioning the move. I'm going to explain why this makes a ton of sense for Pat Kelsey's squad. We'll also talk about two players that will be on official visits today through the weekend. That is Aboubacar Traore and Koren Johnson. Both would be very welcomed additions to next year's squad. The Cardinals got a commitment on Thursday afternoon. It was an interesting one because when Aly Khalifa from BYU entered the portal with the do not contact tag on his entry, many felt like he was just going to follow his former college coach Mark Pope to Kentucky. When Louisville's name was thrown out there, many, and even myself at one point, became conspiracy theorists. Oh, this guy is just including Louisville just so it can seem like just so Kentucky can manufacture a recruiting win early on in Mark Pope's tenure. That didn't end up being the case. Khalifa made it to campus on Thursday and pretty much immediately committed the same day. It was announced just after that he would be redshirting this season, according to Jeff Goodman and some other sources. That made those skeptical Louisville fans even more skeptical, saying, well, if he's not going to help next year's team, why are we using a scholarship on the guy? I think that works to Louisville's advantage. Now, let's put that argument off to the side for the moment. We're going to talk about Khalifa's game. I'll admit, if you watched the show in which I talked about him a couple days ago, I was skeptical. And then I did a little bit of a deeper dive into the impact that he has on the court. I talked to some people that covered the Big 12 at large, and pretty much, a uniform response that his impact spans beyond the box score. And I know that we all want to see players come to Louisville that averaged over 15 points per game and over 10 rebounds. And the statistical numbers, they're not going to jump off the page. I mean, this past season, he averaged 5.7 points per game, 3.7 rebounds, 4 assists, while shooting 38.6% from the field. 29 games played. He started the majority and only played 19.4 minutes per contest. Statistically, it's not really going to wow you. I also did not realize, just due to ignorance of not watching BYU play a ton, that Khalifa spent the majority of the season nursing a knee injury that he played through until the final game for the Cougars. So you would assume that a healthy Khalifa would put up more statistical numbers, be more frequent in the box score. But what I've been told to believe is that Khalifa is not really a box score type of guy. Now, he has to improve in terms of rebounds. He has to improve in terms of field goal percentage. But what he's able to do as a big man leading the offense, I forgot who said it, but someone basically said that Aly Khalifa unlocked BYU's offense in sort of a Nikola Jokic type of role, to where he got the ball up at the top of the key and essentially directed traffic and became the quarterback of the offense. Khalifa is one of the best passing big men, not only in the Big 12, but the country overall. His vision is exceptional. He has elite court vision, the passing ability, the ability to put the ball wherever he wants it to go. Watching the game unfold in the half court, I ultimately think is going to be something that, like he did at BYU, could give the Cardinals a bunch of advantages in the half court offensively. That is something that, you're playing an offense that features a ton of movement without the ball, a lot of screens, getting guys open for quick shots, and just utilizing that European style of movement without the ball. It's a very intricate level of attention to detail. Having a player like Khalifa with his size, 6'11", 270 pounds, directing traffic, bringing the opposing big man out of the paint, opening up the paint for driving opportunities, which already off the top of my head would help guys, be able to get to the rim. But also the ability to have that good of a passer as a big man, there just aren't that many of them. There are big men that are capable of passing, and then there are those that are just absolutely phenomenal at it. And Khalifa falls into the latter category. So that's going to help. What also helps is that opposing big men can't just camp inside of the paint. Khalifa shot 32% on over 3 attempts from deep this season. Very fluid-looking jump shot in terms of mechanics. For a guy that's 6'11", 270, he plays like a guard, and I think that that's where the lack of rebounding comes into play, and maybe the field goal percentages as well, because he's shot over 60% from around the rim, but a lot of his attempts come from behind the arc. Again, he's a player that directs the offense. You're not going to see a ton of what he's doing on the court if you're just looking at the box score. You have to look at the overall impact. I've been told by no less than 5 people already since tweeting about Aly Khalifa that he is an extremely fun player to watch. Reminds of Nikola Jokic. Now, he's not going to be as good as Jokic, but the playing style is fairly similar. There's also the case of redshirting. I don't think that even if he was to play this year, that Khalifa would be the go-to center in the Cardinals offense or on the Cardinals team in general. He was going to be a rotational big man that probably played about 20 minutes a night. Even if he started, he might not be playing the majority of games, which it is what it is. It's a system that likes to play fast. There's going to be a lot of substitutions, but he's not playing this year. He is spending this year getting nursed back to full health due to a knee injury, and he is banking on a clean bill of health in the 2025-26 season. I like this move because we mentioned it time and time again. You can't just add 13 grad transfer guys, number one, and expect them all to work, and number two, to believe that that system is going to be successful every year of having to completely rotate your roster year in, year out. It happened this year because of coaching change. But I like having a guy all ready for next season. Not everybody on the team this year is going to play. If Louisville plays a 10-man rotation, which they might because of the pace of play they are likely going to be utilizing, okay, that still leaves 3 players that are not going to see a lot of time, and some of those 10 won't see a ton of time either. So I'm willing to bank on a clean bill of health for Khalifa, hoping that he can get back to a level in which he played at I believe it was at Charlotte, was where he played before coming to BYU. And I'm extremely excited to do not this upcoming season, but the one after that. Granted, he rebounded better at Charlotte. He's likely going to rebound, I'm not going to say similar to that of BYU, but he played very, very good competition. I like this move of being able to have him for next season because it gives you another piece that knows what Pat Kelsey wants to do. He's been in the weight room. He's been with your program. He can sort of get familiar with what the coaching staff is looking to do for his role. And in 2025-26, you get some of those same benefits, but he's going to be fully healthy. I don't think Khalifa is a top 15 transfer in the country. Don't take this as me sunshine pumping. I'm just being completely honest and saying that I believe that a lot of his impact spans beyond the box score. You can't have 13 guys that are going to score over 10 points per game. And I'm okay utilizing a scholarship on sort of a unicorn-esque big man for not this season, but the next one, because it means that you have to fill one less scholarship. There's a little bit of continuity. So I like this move for the Cardinals. Granted, the roster still has a good amount of work to be done. They need, I believe, 7 more players. We know that Jaden Quaintance will be on campus. He's on campus probably tonight. One player that will be on campus with him is Long Beach State transfer Aboubacar Traore. Very intriguing forward. He's only 6'5", but the name that I'm going to compare him to is a fan favorite amongst Louisville fans. We'll do that here momentarily after we tell you about our friends over at Yahoo Finance. When it comes to your financial future, you think you've done it all. You've saved, you've researched, you've invested all that you can. Now you need to take those investments to the next level by using what every financial great uses, Yahoo Finance. It's the #1 finance destination, producing a holistic look at the financial news cycle, including breaking news, original editorial perspectives, analyst ratings, independent research, customizable charts, and so much more. Whether you're a seasoned investor or just looking for that extra guidance, Yahoo Finance gives you all the tools and data you need all in one place. For comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor, yahoofinance.com. The #1 financial destination, yahoofinance.com. Once again, that's yahoofinance.com. Cardinal fans, Locked On NFL Mock Draft is available now. Find the ultimate 6-episode series on Locked On NFL Draft to hear who the local Locked On experts are picking for every NFL franchise, with live reactions from local college football experts and even the fantasy football angle. The Locked On NFL Mock Draft is available now on the Locked On NFL Draft on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Aboubacar Traore, the Long Beach State transfer, is on an official visit to Louisville pretty much as we speak if you're listening to this on Thursday evening or Friday morning. The 6'5" transfer from the Ivory Coast was a do-it-all type of player this past season for Long Beach State. He reminds me a ton of former Louisville fan favorite and local star, Dwayne Sutton. Not the largest guy, not the best shooter, not the most offensively gifted, but still was able to get his points, but did everything else really, really well. High effort player with an extremely huge motor that attacks the glass on both ends of the court, can pass well, lead the break in transition, and get to the rim. Simply put, Traore is only 6'5", but he plays like a guy who's 6'9", 6'10" in the way that he rebounds. 8.4 rebounds per game. In each of his 3 past seasons, he averaged over 8 rebounds per game. Now, he's going to be playing larger athletes if he were to come to the ACC, but he plays with a ton of energy and passion, and the effort is there on the glass on both ends of the court. We keep bringing up this point that over the past 5 seasons, and 4 of those, Pat Kelsey's offenses were top 20 in Ken Palm's offensive rebounding percentage. Traore is the textbook definition of a do-it-all type of player. He's one of those players that can't really shoot all that well whatsoever, but everything else that he does at such a high level that I want this guy on my team. I want him to commit on his visit. That's how much I think the Louisville Cardinals need Traore. From a scoring perspective, you probably pretty much understand that a lot of his offense comes in the paint. In fact, it's not even close. A lot is equivalent to 84% of his attempts this past season came from around the rim. He shot 61% from around the rim. So Shot a lot of his shots close to the basket. When he did, he was more accurate than not. Not a three-point shooter. Shot 30% last season. This season, 8.7. Not a great free throw shooter. You would hope, can improve those numbers just slightly to where when the opportunity arises, he's able to step into and knock down that shot. But offensively, he is very strong despite only being 195 pounds, has a ton of length, being 6'5". He's sort of a mismatch. For guys are his size, he's quicker than, but if he's larger than a certain player, he's stronger than that player. So there is some, mismatch opportunities there. Offensively, he has to be better in terms of decision making. I feel like he's tried to do too much, which he won't have to be tasked with operating a ton of offense. If he were to come to Louisville outside of maybe in the transition, he's really solid in transition, has to be better with turning the ball over. But he also, what are we talking about? Assist rate, 24% assist rate for Traore. He averaged 4.7 assists per game this past year as sort of a secondary ball handler. He's very, very good at passing the ball. Has good court vision. The feel for the game is off the charts. He understands, what's going to happen before it happens. He's very intuitive with, his decision making. He's a flashy passer, but also is an effective passer. So on the offensive end for Louisville, I think he fits sort of your small ball four. Like you could play like insert guard here, Edwards, Hadley, and Traore all at the same time and really not give up a ton of rebounds because Edwards, Hadley, and Traore are very, very proficient when it comes to attacking the glass. So you wouldn't be relying upon him a ton to score outside of getting to the basket, but you would be relying on him to be that do-it-all Swiss Army knife type player that rebounds well, gives you high energy when he plays, moves the ball around, passes it well, handles the ball when he needs to, and also very, very good defender. Looking at the statistical numbers, 0.9 steals per game. I'm sorry, I take it back. Those numbers improved, 0.9 as a freshman. This past year, 1.5 steals, 1.4 blocks. He had a 5.9% block rate. That's incredible for a guy that is 6'5". There have been players that have sort of outplayed their size. Like they do everything well to where you don't even realize that they lack the height. Dwayne Sutton. Shane Bohannon was 6'6". Draymond Green is only 6'6", but people don't really think about it because he's really, really good at rebounding the ball. He can direct traffic. He can pass the ball. He can sort of be that tertiary complementary offensive piece. And he plays good defense. Like I said, not everyone on the team you can bring in is going to be a great shooter. And Pat Kelsey is truly committed to improving his defense. I mentioned it. You have to go out and you have to get great individual defenders. A lot of the defensive equation is effort. You have that effort with Terrence Edwards Jr. You have that effort with Javon Hadley. You had that effort with Rain Smith. You have that effort with Aboubacar Traore. So I really want him on this team. I watched his tournament game against, who was it? I think it was Arizona. He had 14 points and 15 rebounds. Arizona is not a small team. They had Omar Ballo. They had Pella Larson. They had Kylan Boswell, Caleb Love. Insert player here. Arizona had a ton of length. Traore had 15 rebounds to go along with 14 points. So he's played good against Power 5 competition. That's another thing. You look at how he's played against certain teams. Certain games he's had have been just straight video game numbers. Let's see. I'm going through 30 points, 8 rebounds against Cal Poly. Let's see. There are some other ones that caught my attention. 18-10 against So played really, really well this season. Didn't lead the team in points, but then again, did everything else well. I think he definitely has a role in this rotation. So I would really love to see Aboubacar Traore commit to this program this weekend. Another player that's not on campus yet that I also want to see commit this weekend, probably outside of Jaden Quaintance, my number one or the number one player on my Louisville wish list in terms of realistic names at the moment. Koren Johnson from Washington. He'll be on campus this weekend. He can absolutely take the ACC by storm next season. And I'll tell you a little bit more about Koren here momentarily after we talk about our friends and the title sponsor of the show, Monopoly Go. Look, I already told you at the top of the show, I'm a very competitive person. That competitive side is also a big fan of Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been downloaded in over 150 million times. It's a great twist on Monopoly where you play on not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. But the best part is messing with your friends. You can charge them rent on your properties. You can heist their vaults, and the leaderboards show you who the largest Monopoly tycoon is. It's not just my competitive side that loves that you can team up with friends and people all around the world in timed tournaments to earn huge rewards. Get in the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go now for free on the App Store or Google Play. I mentioned that Koren Johnson, outside of Jaden Quaintance, was atop of my Louisville basketball wish list, realistically, right now. Koren Johnson has spent the last 2 years at Washington. This year was the sixth man of the year in the Pac-12, averaging 11.1 points per game, 2.7 assists per game, 2.2 rebounds per contest, and 1.2 steals per game. The 6'2" native of Seattle, Washington, is a quick, crafty guard that excels in creating his own offense. Very shifty. That great ball handling and the innovative moves that he uses. It is exactly what you would expect from a player from Seattle. Ask Peyton Siva. The Pacific Northwest up there in Seattle, where guys like Jamal Crawford and Paulo Banchero have come from, and Peyton Siva, there is a ton of emphasis on just offensive skill. Being able to dribble the basketball at a high level, being able to create your own offense and offense for others. Koren Johnson, also possesses that extremely, extremely talented level of shot creation. Shot creation is one of my favorite traits that a player can have, whether it be high school ball, college ball, pro ball. You have it. It's one of those traits that projects at every level. Like if you can create your own offense, that's going to project to the next level. He shot the ball 44% from the field, 37% from 3-on-3.5 attempts, and 72% from the free throw line. A lot of that came from being able to create his own shot. He's fantastic shooting the ball in the corner. I think 48% from corner threes, which took up about 10% of his overall attempts. And he's 88th percentile in the nation in spot-up shooting. So not only can he handle the ball and create his own shot off the dribble, but he's also good in catch and shoot and spot-up situations. The numbers won't really prove it in terms of assist numbers, 2.7 assists per game, but 21% assist rate, played 24.2 minutes per game. You would expect those numbers to jump a little bit. Only started 5 of the 31 games for Washington, but was fantastic. Down the stretch this season, I mean, he had a couple of really, really high key games. He had 25 points against Bellarmine. He had 30 against Stanford, 17 against Arizona, 23 against Washington State, 21 against USC, 17 in the Pac-12 tournament against USC as well. So I think that Koren Johnson would be a starter here at Louisville. Saw his statistical points per game numbers jump up about 5 points between freshman and sophomore year. He has played at the Power 5 level. I look for that skill set to project to the ACC. and be a double-digit scorer and be able to handle the basketball. He's great at handling the ball, solid in transition, very quick and crafty, and not a bad passer whatsoever. Another thing is, we just talked about defense. Koren Johnson averages 1.2 steals per game. He is a fantastic defender. Solid hands, ability to jump in opposing passing lanes, and quick laterally, so opposing guards find it tough to get past him. Very, very good defender. I'm thinking about a lineup that has Johnson, Edwards, Hadley, and Traore. 4 good individual defenders. And I just think of all the possibilities. You talk about, well, these guys can shoot, they can rebound, and they can score and pass. Don't forget the defensive aspect. This is a program past 2 seasons defensively. Awful is not even the right word. It doesn't do any justice. This defense was abysmal. It was historically terrible. And if you bring in the players that you can bring in, it would be night and day. So Koren Johnson is at the top of my wish list for Louisville basketball right now. Number one, because you need a guard with point guard-like tendencies. Koren Johnson can handle the ball. He can pass it and play unselfish. He can score with the ball and be able to move off ball. Solid passer, solid shooter, solid creator. Defensively, he is a great point of attack defender that, at 6'2", I think can guard a good amount of solid opposing guards at the position. Everything that he does well, and he's got the Power 5 experience to back it up. A guy that's averaged double-digit scoring at the Power 5, like, this is a really, really good player. And he's already got a crystal ball prediction to Louisville. He'll be on campus beginning on Saturday, I believe. The goal for Pat Kelsey is to get him to commit on his visit before the weekend ends. That would be a huge addition, because right now you don't really have a point guard level player. You have Rain Smith, who's more of a 2 guard, who can sort of play the one. He's a decent passer, but more of a 2 guard. Terrence Edwards is more of a 2 to 3. Hadley's a 2, 3, or 4. Traore is a 3 or 4. James Scott obviously is a big man. Aly Khalifa is a big man. You need players with those guard tendencies in a point guard skill set. Do I think Koren Johnson leads the ACC in assists next season? No, I do not. But is he a willing enough passer that can be unselfish enough to lead the Cardinals offense that despite, it's an offense that utilizes a ton of movement, so you might not need a guard that's going to handle the ball 80% of the time because the ball is going to be moving nonstop, getting open shots. I think Koren Johnson is exactly what this team needs. So hopefully these visits go great, and hopefully by the next time we discuss, we will have some more solid developments. But that's going to wrap up today's episode of the show. Everyone have a great day. Have a great Friday Eve. We will talk to you right back here tomorrow.